Have you ever been played? To get played means to be dissed or insulted or tricked into doing something that you might not have otherwise done. It can happen in love relationships and in politics. If you are one of the more than 60 million Americans who voted for Donald Trump, you are being played right now. The trickster is Donald Trump, who has already broken most of his campaign pledges since becoming the president-elect. In fact, what he is saying now compared to what he said during the campaign will make your head spin and, yes, make you feel played. For example, if you were one of the rabid Trump supporters yelling, lock her up," at those rallies, well, it's not going to happen. Crooked Hillary, as Trump described her, is not going anywhere. Any authority that Trump claimed to have to lock her up was imaginary in his head. Trump could have told you that before the election, but either he did not know or chose not to. If you voted for Trump because you wanted the border wall built to stop Mexicans from coming into the country, you also got played. That wall is looking more now like a fence. In an interview with CBS's 60 Minutes on November 13th, Trump said, quote, "There could be some fencing." If you hate Obamacare and voted for Donald Trump because he said he would get rid of it, you got played. Trump now says he likes certain parts of it. If you're a Trump voter and your thing is homophobia, some more bad news. On the campaign trail, Trump said he would appoint justices who would overrule the Supreme Court decision on same-sex marriage. But you got played. In that 60 Minutes interview last month, Trump said,
"It's irrelevant because it was already settled. It's law. It was settled in the Supreme Court. I mean, it's done."
So even if you appoint a judge that...
It's done. You have, these cases have gone to the Supreme Court. They've been settled. And I think I'm fine with that.
But it gets more complicated and more sinister. Sometimes when it appears that you are not getting played by Trump, you are getting played by Trump. Let's examine what really happened last week at that Trump publicity stunt at the Carrier factory in Indiana. Carrier is a multi-billion-dollar company that makes air conditioning. Its parent company, United Technologies, has the Pentagon as its largest customer. Carrier had planned on closing 2 Indiana factories, sending more than 2,000 jobs to Mexico. During the campaign, Trump played tough guy and said he would punish the company with tariffs if they went ahead with the move. But in the end, Trump played nice guy and gave Carrier $7 million in economic incentives over 10 years for keeping just 800 jobs in Indiana. The other 1,300 jobs are still headed to Mexico with no penalty to Carrier Corporation. Of course, the Donald basked himself in glory, taking full credit for the huge success. But even Sarah Palin knew that voters were getting played, realizing that other businesses would now threaten to leave the country in order to receive similar breaks, effectively motivating industries to blackmail the government. She called it crony capitalism. Bernie Sanders said the deal was all smoke and mirrors, with taxpayers footing the bill for those so-called economic incentives offered to Carrier. So let's summarize the play here. Donald Trump helped secure millions of dollars in state tax breaks for a massive corporation that will still send more than 1,000 other Indiana jobs to Mexico. Meanwhile, United Technologies Corporation, the Carrier parent company, earned $5 billion in after-tax profits last year. That's right, $5 billion in profits. You think you did not get played? Think again. Now, I suspect that many Trump supporters do not really care about Trump's position on many of the issues. What they care about is venting their anger, bigotry, and hatred. Trump is counting on holding on to his supporters by feeding that hatred and not necessarily improving their lives. 6 months or maybe in a year, there'll be a lot of Trump supporters across the country and here in Delaware County who feel good, having vented a lot of anger and gained a lot of what they might consider to be white pride or white respect. Indeed, many of them will feel better about themselves psychologically. But with no job prospects, no money, and no health insurance, they might finally begin to realize that they've been played by the Donald. But listen, we have all been played. Some folks realize it now, other folks will realize it later.